and power of a leader. Who is a leader? A leader is a person who influences a group of people towards the achievement of a goal. A leader, by its meaning, is one who goes first and leads by example, so that others are motivated to follow him. A great leader is a person, a firm, an organization that always goes beyond the well-trodden paths and leads a firm, an organization, or a nation in an unsurpassed way. A great leader is greatly and truly passionate about what she or he does and always acts legally, ethically, in the highest degree and unbendingly requires the same standards of behavior from other persons, firm, or organization. Finally, a great leader is authentically a great altruistic. Leaders are beacons of change. They question ideas and give us answers to the questions. That is where leadership abilities come to play. To be the leader, we need to follow some principles of leadership that will help to stay effective in midst of people who continuously looks up to you. So great leaders should be helpful, have control over self, be kind, and understand ignorance of the subordinates and their peers. Let's look at some of the definitions of the leadership. Leadership is a process by which a person influences others to accomplish an objective and direct the organization in a way that makes it more cohesive and coherent. Some of the popular definitions of leadership are: leadership is a process whereby one individual would influence or control another individual or a group of individuals to achieve a common goal. Another form of definition is leadership is an inspiring others to pursue your vision within the parameters you set, to the extent that it becomes a shared effort, a shared vision, and a shared success. Leadership is a process of social influence which maximizes the efforts of others towards the achievement of a goal. Note that all the definitions have a couple of processes in common. A person influences others through social influence, not power, to get something accomplished. Leadership requires others who not necessarily directly report to get something accomplished. There is a need to accomplish something. Leaders is the person who leads or commands a group, organization, or country. Organization needs strong leadership for optimum effectiveness. Leadership, as we know, is a trait which is both inbuilt and can be required. Organizational leadership deals with both human psychology as well as the expert tactics. Organizational leadership emphasizes on developing leadership skills and abilities that are relevant across organizations, which means the potentials of the individuals to face the hard time in the industry and still grow during those times. These organizations must have leaders, and the leaders should have the potential to control the group of individuals. An organization leader should not dominate over others. He should guide the individuals under him, a sense of direction to achieve organizational goals successfully, and should act responsibly. He should be optimistic, empathetic, and should understand the need of the group members. Individuals who are highly ambitious, have high energy level, and urge to lead, self-confidence, intelligence, have thorough knowledge of the job, are honest and flexible. Individuals who are highly ambitious, have high energy level, and urge to lead, self-confidence, thorough knowledgeable, are honest and flexible, are more likely to succeed as organizational leaders. Individuals who learn the organizational leadership develop abilities and skills of teamwork, effective communication, conflict resolution, and group problem-solving techniques. Organizational leaders clearly communicate organizational mission, vision, and policies. They build employees' morale, ensure efficient business operation, help employees grow professionally, and contribute positively towards organization mission. Leaders carry out this by process of applying their leadership knowledge and skills. While leadership is learned, a leader's skills and knowledge can be influenced by his or her attributes or traits, such as beliefs, values, ethics, and character. Knowledge and skills contribute directly to the process of leadership, while the other attributes give leader certain characteristics that make him or her unique. There are essentially five characteristics of great leaders. The first of these is being flexible. Like not everything goes as planned, so competitors change tactics, government forces new regulations of business. So leaders have to be able to make the change and they need to be flexible. The second characteristic is to be able to communicate. Some leaders are great orators, but speaking well isn't all that is required of a leader. Leaders who communicate well are those who not only share the thoughts with their employees, but also let their strength and personal character show through their communication and empower those who work for them by defining the company's goal and showing how to get there. The third characteristics of a great leader or a group of characteristics having courage, tenacity, and patience. Having the courage to stand alone, tenacity to succumb not to pressure, and patience to keep fighting. The fourth characteristic is the combination of humility and presence. Acting aloof or above employees does not make a leader. The fifth and the final characteristic of a successful leader is being responsible. Okay, then we move on to the followers. What do you mean by followers? The definition of a follower is someone who agrees with the beliefs of others or listen to the leads or command of another. They are low in hierarchy and less power, authority, and influence than their superiors. The term followers can be used as a personality type, as a position in hierarchy, as a role, or as a set of traits and behaviors. Studies of followership have produced various theories, including the trait, behavioral attribute, role, and constructionist theories, in adding to exploring the myths of understanding of the followership. Now, what are the roles of the followership? Followerships are the people who provide valuable support to their leaders. They listen, reflect, comply, question, and legitimize the leader. The amount of influence followers have on leaders show up in organizational policies, communication methods, and workplace environment. The followers assume responsibility for his or her own behavior and its impact on the organization. Effective followers do not presume that a leader or an organization will provide them with security, permission to act, or personal growth. Followership is the action of someone in a subordinate role. It can also be considered as a specific set of skills that complement leadership. As such, followership is best defined as an intentional practice on the part of the subordinate to enhance the synergetic interchange between the follower and the leader. Leadership is not just done by leader, and followership is just not done by followers. It is a kind of a shared competency. The study of followership is an emerging area within the leadership field that explain outcomes. Specifically, followers play important individual, relational, and collective role in organizational failures and success. Situation. The next step to understand the favorableness of a situation the leader faces. This is determined by how much control over the situation the leader has. The served situation is here to mean the set of values and attitudes with which the individual or the group has to deal in process of activity with regard to which it is planned and result appreciated. The elements of the situation are the structure of the interpersonal relations within the group, the characteristics of the group as a group taken as a unit, the characteristics of a large culture in which the group exists and from which group members have been drawn, the physical condition within which the group finds itself constrained to act, the perceptual representation within the group among its members. The situation especially is liable for modification through change in interpersonal relations. The entrance of a new member and departure of others, changes in physical condition and life, while alter action possibilities and consequently perceived probabilities of goal attainment or assessment of the cost. Research has shown that a person does not become a leader solely by virtue of any particular pattern or personality traits, but rather by possession of any attribute by virtue of any particular pattern or personality trait to the situation and its situation alike. Any particular pattern or personality trait, but rather by the position of any attribute that by virtue of its relevance to the situation and its situation allied determined evaluation by other group members establish a relationship of lead following. Leaders who are unable to assume the control over the group situation cannot be sure that the members they are leading will execute their command. All situations are different. Okay, some of the following various forces which affects the factors are the relationship with the seniors, the skills of your followers, the informal leaders within the organization, and how organization is organized. Many a time, social forces selected people for position of leadership and shaped the behavior to coincide with social interests. The traits of a leader reflects the mechanisms by which they are selected. Thus, it is argued that leadership should be viewed as a dependent rather than an independent variable. To put it differently, the traits and the behavior of a leader are mediating variables between structural antecedents and organizational outcome. Okay, when these assumptions are valid, it's easy to understand the individual differences would be largely irrelevant to leadership. It is mostly found that when a situation is challenging, it needs an authoritative leader who can guide the group or a team to attain the objective of the organization. However, most social scientists interested in leadership now abandon the debate between the people or situation in favor of a search for a set of concepts that are capable of dealing both with the differences in situation and differences in leading. So now you can check your progress. There is a question here. Compare your answer with one given at the end of this unit. What is the meaning of situation leadership? Which is already now given. You can read up the whole thing and write it. The second aspect is the position. What is position? It's a job in the organization structure. It's a placement of a particular employee. It is an ability to lead. The position or a function of a leader is that of a person who guides or directs a group. In an organization, leadership position is a assigned role where you are responsible for the outcome of the team. Being in a position entails different roles to play, different responsibilities to be led, the amount of control and influence one over as the others. Thus, position is a specific occurrence. They also denote reporting relationship of staff members as well as status levels within the company. In some senses, titles designate an individual as an officer of the company with specific responsibilities that make them legally accountable. Power. What is power? It's an ability to make things happen according to one's perspective by getting someone else to do it for you. It is mainly beneficial in the organization. Power is responsible for ensuring employee commitment and compliance in the organization. Even though managers are perceived to have power, they also need to work on leadership, which is an essential element in the organization power. It is there to guide on what employees should do to achieve organizational success. Power aids in providing a sense of direction towards organization role. Besides, other sources of power are relevant in the organization. There are 6 types of power for leaders. To be an effective leader, one has to understand how to wield the power. The use of power is one of the many tools at leaders' disposal. Power in itself is neither good or bad, as it is the wielder that determines if the power is used to serve or to undermine the company's goal. If used improperly, the misuse of power can harm the organization. All 6 of these types power are part of the fundamental knowledge that all leaders must possess to be effective, right? So let us explore in detail the 6 types of power. The first one is the coercive power. What is coercive power? It relies on threats or bullying or its language to motivate those that are beneath them. This type of behavior often leads to fear, dissatisfaction, and resentment. Coercive power is often the least effective, but most employed type of power in the corporate world. Reward power. What is reward power? Reward power is another widely used method in business today. The results of the reward power are mixed and is therefore the second weakest form of power. Reward power is the power bestowed in the hands of the leader to award or reward an employee for effective performance, which is very, very common in the corporate sector. Legitimate power. What is legitimate power? It is the type of command and control structure that is employed in the military world. Legitimate power can be excellent first step towards effective leadership. Referent power. What is referent power? It depends upon the extent to which the subordinate identifies with, looks up to, and wishes to emulate the leader. This can occur through time if a leader is successful and has a well-known track record of success. Referent power also created through the values of the individual. Informational power. Informational power is the newest edition of the type of power. It is the power of having information that another does not have, or the distribution of information as a means of effecting change. This could be a positive or a negative propaganda. Knowledge of an opponent's strategy. Power is in the possible use of information from pursuing by the numbers or making up statistics to manipulate opinion. Informational power can be used to measure and improve tasks, processes, and strategies. Then comes the expert power. What is the expert power? It is when individual possesses in-depth information, knowledge, and expertise in the area that they are responsible for. Right? Excellent leaders seek to use the most effective type of power at the correct time. Being familiar with the different types of power and employing the power in conjunction with the values that the company ascribes is to be very helpful for the success of the organization. Okay, so you check the progress, compare your answers with one given at the end of this unit, discuss the need for power in the hands of a leader. And you can talk about all the different kinds of power that we have just discussed. We move on to the next, power and politics. Groups or organizations use power and politics to control their members, maintain and preserve themselves. Power and politics are integrated processes that have to be managed and used effectively in order to achieve individual and organizational cohesion and ventilate their differences. Okay, turning our attention to how power leads to politicking in organizations, whatever else organization may be, problem-solving instruments, social technical systems, reward system, and so on, they are political structures. This means that the organization operates by distributing authority and setting a stage for the exercise of power, which provides opportunity for people to develop careers and therefore provide platforms for the expression of individual interests and motive. However, dysfunctional politics can sink an organization. Okay? That it's important for leaders to understand the forms it can take and how to use it for the well-being of the organization. Let's define politics. Organizational politics refer to a variety of activities associated with the use of influence to improve personal or organizational interests. To address the challenges, the executives need to chart the political terrain, which includes 4 metaphoric domains: weeds, the rocks, the high grounds, and the wood. Each has different roles for skillful navigation. And navigate these domains, it is necessary to have 2 important dimensions. The first level, that political activity takes place. Political dynamic starts with the individual player and political skills. This can evolve into group level behavior. At the end of the dimension is the broader context where politics operates at the organization level. The second dimension of the political landscape is the extent to which source of power is soft, that is informal, or hard, that is formal. Soft power is implicit, making use of influence, relationships, and norms. Political activity based on hard, that is formal, or explicit power draws upon role, authority, expertise, directives, and reward control mechanism, right? We have check our progress here, and we have the questions given here. State the influence of politics in an organization. And you have a summary for this chapter 13, which talks about the leadership processes, right? And there are also model questions. Please go through the model questions. You'll be able to understand and be able to answer the questions. So here we complete unit number 13, and then we move on to unit number 14. What is the unit number 14? Unit number 14 is theoretical approaches, right? What are the contents in this? There is a trait approach, behavioral approach, situational approach, and the leader-member exchange model. Okay. Under situational approach, we have the Goldman theory of situational leadership and Blanchard and Hersey situational leadership. The objective of the unit 14 is to explain the trait approach, discuss the behavioral approach, describe the situational approach, and explain the leader-member exchange model. Okay. So, theoretical approaches to leadership. Leadership theory evolved with great understanding of the following. What are they? They are needs and expectations of people at work, impact of different leadership styles on followers, and how the attitudes, behavior, and competence of the followers impact the leaders, and the effectiveness of the different leadership styles in different situations. Leadership is a complex process. Effective leadership requires the leader's qualities and skills to connect with people and their needs, as well as the needs of the leadership situation. This complexity is reflected in the evolution of leadership theory over the past 80 years. Early leadership theories focused on the qualities and behavior of successful leaders. Later, leadership theories recognized the needs of modern employees. Today's leaders need to understand the increased expectation of the people to be consulted and involved in decision making, and to have the autonomy to achieve objective in the way they see as most effective. Different authors have classified the leadership theories in different ways. Some have classified on the basis of time dimension, while others have focused on the behaviorist or situationist paradigm. Early classical laboratory studies of leadership behavior in small group and later follow-up field studies of supervision in an organization have converged in identifying three major leadership role behavior: vis-a-vis task role, that is initiating a structure; social or people role, that is consideration or nurturance; and participative role, that is decision centralization. Thus, the focus of leadership has shifted from merely leading and controlling followers to guiding and including them in every sphere of activities of the organization. The perspective of the leadership has undergone so much change that the leadership that develops between the leader and each follower will be somewhat different with different followers. It is on one-on-one type or a dyadic relationship. Okay, so let's look at the approach. Firstly, we have the trait approach. What is this trait approach? Trait theories of leadership identify the specific personality traits that distinguish leaders from non-leaders. They are based on the premise that the leaders are born, not made, that leadership is largely innate rather than being developed through learning. Trait theory of leadership is one of the first academic theories of leadership and attempts to answer why some people are good leaders and others are not. The trait theory of leadership is an early assumption that the leaders are born, and due to this belief, those that possess the correct qualities and traits are better suited to leadership. This theory often identifies behavioral characteristics that are common in leaders. The trait theory of leadership is based on the characteristic of many leaders, both successful and unsuccessful, and is used to predict leadership effectiveness. The resulting list of the traits are then compared to those of potential leaders to assess their likelihood of success or failure. Once found, the theory is that these natural leaders can be nurtured to become great leaders. In the early part of the century, psychologists made many attempts to isolate the specific traits or consistent and enduring physical and personality attributes that are associated with leader success. Much of this research involved identifying certain physical characteristics, including height, appearance, energy level, and other characteristics such as intelligence and personality traits like extroversion, dominance, or achievement that were associated with the effective leaders. It was presumed that those who were more intelligent, extroverted, or dominant would be more likely to do well as leaders. Unfortunately, the result of these early studies were inconclusive and showed no proper evidence of any single trait common to all these effective leaders. The major problem with the original trait approach to leadership was that it was too general. It is unlikely that any one trait will be associated with the effective leadership in all situations with all kinds of tasks and among groups of followers. The trait approach gives rise to questions whether leaders are born or made and whether leadership is an art or a science. And these are mutually exclusive alternatives. Leadership may be something of an art. It still requires the application of special skills and techniques. A person is not born with self-confidence. Self-confidence is developed. Honesty and integrity are a matter of personal choice. Motivation to lead comes from within the individual, and the knowledge of business can be acquired. While cognitive ability has its origin partly in the genes, it still needs to be developed. And none of these are acquired overnight. Okay, so we have checked your progress now, explain the trait theory. You can talk about this trait theory in detail, which we have just. Okay, now we move to the behavioral approaches of leadership. What are the behavioral approaches of leadership? Behavioral theories of leadership are classified as such because they focus on the study of specific behavior of a leader. For behavioral theorists, a leader behavior is the best predictor of his leadership influence, and as a result is the best determinant of his or her leadership success. Okay. In the late 40s and throughout the 50s, two research projects, one conducted in Ohio State University and the other one in Michigan, investigated the behaviors exhibited by effective leaders. Both projects arrived at some very similar conclusions concerning leaders, their behavior, and the effective leadership. Theories based on these studies focusing on the particular behavior that related to effective leaderships are called behavior theories of leadership. And here we have mentioned two. The first one is the Ohio State Leadership Studies. A group of people from Ohio State University, US, developed a list of 150 statements from their generated responses that included 1,800 statements. The list was designed to measure 9 different behavioral leadership dimensions. The resulting questionnaire is now well known as the LBDQ, or the Leader's Behavior Description Questionnaire. As a part of the study, the LBDQ was administered to various groups of individuals, ranging from college students and their administrators, private companies, military personnel. One of the primary purposes of the study was to identify common leadership behaviors. After compiling and analyzing the results, the study led to the conclusion that there were two groups of behavior that were strongly correlated. These were defined as consideration, people-oriented behavior leaders, and initiating structure, that is task-oriented leaders. Consideration describes behaviors that shows genuine concerns for feelings, attitudes, and the needs of the subordinate by developing a rapport with them and showing them mutual respect and trust. Such activities include asking subordinates for their opinion and inputs, showing concerns for the feeling of the workers, encouraging communication from in between subordinates, bolstering workers' self-confidence, job satisfaction, implementing their suggestion. Initiating structures included activities that define, organize, or structure the work situation, such as assigning specific tasks, defining work group roles, meeting deadlines, making task-related decisions, and maintaining standard of work performance. The Ohio State researchers concluded that these two dimensions, initiating structure and consideration, were independent of each other. That is, a leader's score on one did not relate to the score on the other, which means that both categories of leader behavior are associated with effective leadership, but they do not necessarily coexist. Additional studies have looked into how these two categories are related to the important outcome variable of work performance and job satisfaction. Consideration leader behaviors tend to positively related to job satisfaction, but may be unrelated or even negatively correlated with the work productivity. On the other hand, initiating structure have been found to be correlated not only with effective work performance, but also with the lower group member job satisfaction and corresponding increase in the turnover. Okay. Although the Ohio State behavioral approach stimulated a great deal of research on effective leader behaviors, unlike the universalist theories, it is too simplistic. The Ohio State investigation leaves us with two categories of behaviors, both of which may or may not be related to certain indicators of leader effectiveness. Although the results had the positive effect of stimulating research on leader behavior, it is clear that the Ohio State studies fall short when it comes to making firm prediction about the relationship between the behavior and the specific work outcome in all types of working situation. Okay, so there ends the Ohio State of study. Now we move on to the University of Michigan Leadership Studies. At about the same time as the Ohio State of studies were being conducted, researchers at the University of Michigan were also focusing on the behaviors characteristics of effective leaders and came up with similar results. Studying leaders in a number of large industrial organizations, the Michigan researchers found successful leaders tend to exhibit patterns of behavior that are labeled task-oriented, sometimes also called as production-oriented and relationship-oriented, also referred to as employee-oriented. Task-oriented behaviors are concentrated on performing the job that the work group faces and are thus similar to those of initiating a structure factor. The leader is concerned with setting work standards, supervising the job, and meeting the production goals. Relationship-oriented behavior include showing concern for the employees' well-being and involving them in the decision-making process. The primary difference between the Ohio State and the University of Michigan studies was that the Michigan University results tended to consider relationship-oriented leader behaviors to be more effective than the task-oriented leadership behavior patterns. Michigan studies examined the behavior of leaders in large insurance companies. The findings indicated that both task-oriented and relationship-oriented behavior patterns were positively related to work group performance. However, subordinates of the relationship-oriented leaders tend to be more satisfied and had lower turnover rates than the employees who were managed by task-oriented leaders. So here we move on to the next, that is evaluation of the behavioral theories of leadership. And before that, we have a check your progress, compare your answer with one given at the end of the units, right? There is a question here. What are the two groups of behavior style emerged out of OU studies and the University of Michigan studies? That is what we have to write, what we have just learned. Okay. So let's look at the evaluation of the behavioral theories of leadership. Although initiating structure, that is task orientation, and consideration, that is relationship orientation, seem to be reliable dimensions describing leader behavior, the behavioral approach has one major shortcoming. The two-dimension respects very different types of a leader behavior, yet both have been linked to effective management. If we believe that universalist contention that there is one set of effective leadership characteristics or one best leadership style, such divergent leader behavior simply cannot represent a single effective leader. The most likely explanation is that other variables, particularly those related to the type of task or characteristics of the work group, determine whether certain leader behaviors will be effective. In other words, a task-oriented leader might be an effective in certain situations under specific circumstances, whereas a relationship-oriented leader might be effective in another situation. One of the more successful and widespread application of leadership theory to the business world is known as the leadership grid, formerly known as the managerial grid. This leadership intervention program encompasses two core dimensions: people emphasis and production emphasis. These are attitudinal in character and are distinguished from behavioral dimension identified in the research originating with the Ohio State University and the Michigan states. Now, let's move on to situational approach to leadership. What is the situational approach to leadership? It is an adaptive leadership style. The strategy encourages the leader to take stock of the team members, weigh the many variables in their workplace, and choose the leadership style that best fits their goal and circumstances. In other words, here is Ken Blanchard. In the past, a leader was a boss. Today's leaders can no longer lead solely based on position power. Situational leadership is the model of choice for organizations around the world that would like to develop people and work groups, establish rapport, and to bring out the best in their people, and use a common leadership style across units in all organizations, be it local, national, or international. Situation leadership is flexible. It adapts to the existing work environment and the needs of the organization. It is also based on specific skill of the leader. Instead of he or she modifies the style of management to suit the requirement of the organization. There are two mainstream models of situational leadership. One described by the Daniel Goleman, another by Ken Blanchard and Paul Kersey. Let us look at these two theories. Daniel Goleman, the author of Emotional Intelligence, defines 6 styles within the situational leadership, and he makes a list of all of them, right? So he begins, the first one is a coaching leader who works on the individual's personal development as well as the job-related skills. The second one is the pace-setting leaders who set high expectations for the followers. This style works best with self-starters who are motivated. And the third one type is the democratic leaders who give followers a vote in almost all decisions. When used in optimal condition, it can build flexibility and responsibility within the group. Another form of leaders are affiliated leaders who put employees first. The style is used when the morale is low. The leader uses praise and helpfulness to build up the team's confidence. This style may risk poor performance when the team building is happening. And the next two leadership styles are the authoritative leaders who are very good at analyzing problems, identifying challenges. And this style is good in the organization that is drifting aimlessly. This leader also allows his or her follower to figure out how to solve the problem. And the last part is the coercive leaders. Who are these people? They tell the subordinates what to do. They have a very clear vision of the end game and how to reach it. This style is good in disaster or if an organization requires a total overhaul. We move to the next. That is the Blanchard and the Hersey situational leadership. The second model is based on the work done by Blanchard and the Hersey. This theory is based on two concepts: leadership itself and developmental level of the follower. We can see a diagram given here, situation leadership curve, which is divided into two parts. One part is the selling, telling, and participating, delegating. What is the telling leaders, right? The telling leaders, that is specific guidance and close supervision. These leaders make decisions and communicate them to others. They create the role and the objectives and expect others to accept them. Communication is usually one way. This style is mostly effective in disaster or when repetitive results are required. Selling, that is explaining and persuading. These leaders may create the role and objectives for others, but they are also open to suggestions and opinions. They sell their ideas to others in order to gain cooperation. Participating, that is sharing and facilitating. These leaders leave decisions to their followers. Although they may participate in decision-making process, the ultimate choice is left to the employee. Delegating, that is letting others do it. These leaders are responsible for their teams, but provide maximum guidance to workers or help solve problems. They may be asked from time to time to help with decision-making. Stage of employee development in a situation leadership. Along with the leadership qualities, Blanchard and Hersey defined 4 types of development for followers or employees. Number 1 is low competence, high commitment. Number 2 is some competence and low commitment. Number 3 is high competence and variable commitment. And the last one is high competence and high commitment. Blanchard and Hersey suggest that each of these 4 approaches should be paired with different maturity levels, that is readiness levels among team members. Okay, let's look at the difference between the situational leadership and other leadership style. The difference between the situational leadership and other leadership style is that situational leadership incorporates many different techniques. The style of choice depends upon the organization's environment and the competence and the commitment of its followers. Blanchard said situational leaders tend to choose between directive behavior, what and how, and supportive behavior, development, commitment, initiative, and positive attitudes. The maturity level, that is the readiness concept of the spiritual leadership, was revised to incorporate individual development level. Advantages and disadvantages of Hersey-Blanchard model. Although this leadership model may be sound in theory, it need not necessarily be applicable in every situation. So some of the advantages using as an adapter leadership style are that the leaders can change the style at their own discretion at any time. Secondly, employees may find a leader who adapts to shifting changes in the workplace as a desirable trait. It is also a simple and easy to apply leadership style, meaning a manager can quickly evaluate the situation and make decisions as he or she sees fit. The disadvantage is situational leadership may put too much responsibility on the manager, whose decision may be flawed. The model may not be applicable to different cultures. The model may also prioritize relationships and tasks as opposed to the company's long-term goal. Right. Then we come to the leader-member exchange model. That is the LMX, right? Before that, you have check your progress, compare your answers with the one given at the end of the unit. Name 4 styles of leadership suggested by Blanchard and Hersey. Okay. The leader-member exchange model, that is a LMX. The leader-member exchange model theory is a relationship-based approach to leadership that focuses on the two-way, that is the dyadic relationship between leaders and followers. It suggests that the leaders develop an exchange with each of their subordinates, and the quality of these leaders' member exchange relationship influences subordinates' responsibility, decisions, and access to resources and performances. Relationships are based on trust and respect and are often emotional relationships that extend beyond the scope of employment. Leader-member exchange may promote positive employment experiences and augment organizational effectiveness. It is widely used by many managers and is replacing by many predecessors. The latest version of the leader-member exchange theory of leadership development that explains growth of a vertical dyadic workplace influence and team performance in terms of selection and self-selection of informal apprenticeship in leadership. This is reflected in their description by both the relationship of mutual respect for competence and trust in the character. According to this theory, the worker in the situation, basically the model states that the type of one-on-one or dyadic relationship that develops between the leaders and each of the following will be somewhat different. In any work group, the leader tends to develop better relationship with few subordinates. The character of the leader, that is the member exchange, can range from low quality in which the leader can have negative image of the subordinate and the subordinate does not respect or trust the leader, to a high quality in which the leader has a positive view of the worker and the worker feels that the leader is supportive and provides encouragement. However, such differences affect important outcomes such as work performance, employee loyalty, attendance, and job satisfaction. In high quality leaders, member relations, there is frequent communication between the leader and the subordinate, and these interactions are generally positive. The leader-member exchange model is quite popular and has generated considerable amount of research. A number of improvements have been made to the theory, including improvement in measuring in group, out-group membership, and the quality of the leader-member exchanges. Evidence shows that elements in the two-way street, as it suggests, improving the quality of a leader-membership relationship. Consequences. Well, whether LMX is successful can be measured by multitude of consequences. Sources of the consequences. Some of the consequences that can be measured include turnover, intentional, actual turnover, overall organization, citizenship behavior, effective commitment, normative commitment, general justice, empowerment, perception of politics, role ambiguity, and the role conflict. LMX increases the other members created, particularly increasing the perceptual and attitudinal outcomes. So with this, we end the unit number 14. We have a summary given here. So please go through the summary. And there is also model question examinations. Please go through, fill in the blanks, match the following. There is glossary if you don't understand. So make the best use of the time and make sure that you go through this unit once. And it is very, very easy to learn and remember. So with this, we end the unit 14. And we now move on to unit 15, which is about indigenous theories. Now, what are we learning in this? Explain the nurturant task model, the participative model, the consultative style of management, and the pioneering innovative theory of leadership. Now, the word indigenous comes from the Latin word that is indigenia, meaning a native, and defined as originating or occurring naturally in a particular place or native. Indigenous leadership reflects the collectivist nature of effective leadership and community development practices. It shows the interconnection between revitalization of relationships and importance of collaborative approaches to leadership and a willingness to invest in the relationship building within and beyond the communities. Okay, so keep reading. Based on this viewpoint, some of the latter styles of leadership has brought into practice. The nurture and task leader who prepares subordinates for participation. Once subordinates mature and are ready for participation, assuming control over the work and the effective nurture and task leader will shift to participatory style, enabling the subordinate to assume greater power and responsibility over his work. All members of the team are involved to identify the vital goals and the development procedures and strategies to reach the goal. Consultative manager focuses on using the skills, experiences, ideas of others, but retains the final decision-making power to his or her credit. Final innovative theory of leadership is among those who first enter or settle the region. Pioneering or innovative leader is one who imitates to take part in the beginning of the new trend of controlling or guiding others. Right? We move on to the nurture and task model. What is nurture and task model? Is a dynamic one, as it is proposed as a transitory approach. Once subordinate mature and are ready for participation and assuming control over their own task and goal, the effective nurture and task leader will shift to a participatory style, enabling the subordinate to assume greater power and responsibility over his work. Once the leader-subordinate relationship is one more egalitarian level, they become partners in creating a culture for learning and improvement, which makes for continuous striving for excellence and willingness to share the gains of such improved performance. Okay. The nurture and task leadership style originally proposed by Sinha, a combination of task and relationship behavior with a blended nurturance. The nurture and task style is considered to be the forerunner of participative style in reciprocal influence processes between the leader and his subordinates. The uniqueness of the entity model is the priority attached to the productivity over satisfaction. The internal work culture of an Indian organization is characterized by the employee preferences for a personalized and dependent relationship with the leader. In this type of a leader context, the nurture and task leader is most effective in achieving the task objectives. Leadership roles develop gradually over a period of time from nurture and task and to initial stage of to participative end. This is a major challenge enterprise leader and the fundamental flaw with the leadership focus only on clear goals and operational virus. Okay. Check your progress. Elucidate the need of nurture and task style of leadership for the Indian organization. Participative leader. Who is a participative leader? A participative leader involves in consultation, encouragement, facilitation between the leaders and subordinates in making a decision. All the members of the team are involved in identifying the vital goals and develop procedures and strategies to reach these goals. The leader here is not a dictator to issue orders and get things done. This is a unique managerial style that many feel uncomfortable. Most of the authority, not all, is given the team. The manager remains the team leader. The participative leader traits are team member equal, team member ideas are equal, and with the leaders, everyone's input is considered. Leader is a term facilitator, a coach, a player, and the focus on stimulating creativity, creates culture and innovation. Participative leadership is the most effective form and will get talents and potentials and skills of the team members to be made the best use of them, particularly when arriving at a decision and taking the right course of action. However, this type of leadership, the employee should be highly experienced. It removes the stress and high level of job satisfaction among followers to be avoided. On the contrary, the leader is supportive or believes in participatory leadership style, but the employees are less experienced, then it just provides growth opportunities and most importantly, develops a confidence among the followers. Check your progress, compare your answer within the given end of the unit. Okay, state the advantages of the participatory style of leadership. We move on to the next, that is the consultative style of management. What is consultative management? Focuses on using skills, experiences, ideas of others, right? And to his or her credit. The consultative leader traits are often involved in other people's problem solving, team building, retains right for final decision, focuses his time on important activities, provides proper recognition, delegates but keeps veto power, weighs all alternatives before making final decision. Okay, how to be a consultative leader? To be an effective consultative leader, you need to create a culture of speaking up in your team. If your strongest leadership traits are directive, then change would not be immediate, because many people, subordinates, are not afraid of being criticized or looking stupid in front of their boss. Because of this fear, the more comfortable approach for them would be to simply keep silent and agree. That is, check your progress. How can one be effective consultative leader? Please go through this once again and you'll have a better understanding. Then we move on to the pioneering innovative theory of leadership. What is it? It's the meaning pioneering is the person who is among those who first enter or settle the region, thus opening it for occupation and development for others. Pioneering or innovative leaders is one to initiate or to take part in the beginning of a new trend of controlling or guiding others. Realizing the importance of change, agents in developing country context. Kandwala, that is, identified a variant, achieved a need for critical, innovative entrepreneurial behavior. He labeled this as a pioneering innovative style, which study demonstrates the importance of the PA style by providing its conceptual base and operational increases. Innovation leadership is a philosophy and the technique that combine different leadership styles to influence people, to predict creative ideas, products, and services. And innovation leaders stand out as an entrepreneur and visionary shapers. We see themselves as supporters of self-stand. The innovation leaders stand out as an entrepreneurial and visionary shapers who see themselves as a supporter of self-dependent and talented innovators. They manage the present, destroy the past, and build the future. Innovators are satisfied with the market drops their inputs. As an approach to organization development, innovation leaders can support achievement of the mission or the vision of the organization or group with its new technologies and processes. It is necessary for organization to think innovatively to ensure continued success and stay competitive, to adapt to the new changes. Innovators are more liable to treat formal or intuitively. They are more likely to produce solutions which threaten the paradigm and some cases to help bring about a paradigm switch. Outcome is the innovators ongoing think differently. Innovators are more liable to treat formally or intuitively, as they are more likely to produce solutions which threatens the paradigm and in some cases help bring about the paradigm switch. Outcome is the innovators to do things differently. Innovation leadership is a complex concept, as there is no single explanation or formula for leader to follow to increase motivation, follow to increase innovation. As the result, innovation leadership encompasses a variety of different activities, actions, and behaviors that interacts to produce an innovative outcome. Check your progress, enumerate the characteristics of pioneering innovative leader, and then why is the need felt for innovative theory. Yeah, innovation is a complex concept and there's no single explanation or formula for a leader to follow and increase innovation. As a result, innovation leadership encompasses a variety of different activities, actions, and behavior that interact to produce an innovative outcome. Compare your answers with one given at the end. Enumerate the characteristic of pioneering innovative leader. Why is the need felt for innovative theory of leadership by today's organization? Discuss. The two types of motivation. So two types of innovation, which include exploratory innovation, which involves generating brand new ideas, value-added innovation, which involves modifying and improving that which is already existing. The behavior exhibited ability to achieve desired created outcome from employees through application of the individual consideration, charisma, and inspiration motivation. The second one is the value-added innovation. It involves refining and revising an existing product or a service and typically requires minimum risk taken. In this case, it is most appropriate for a leader for innovation to adopt a transactional form of leadership. Okay, this is because transactional form of leadership style does not use open leadership behavior and such as encouraging employees to experiment and take risks, but rather uses closed leadership behavior that does not condone or reward risk taking. Occasionally, a value-added innovation may require completely new way of thinking and possibly taking. There are examples given, kindly read it up. The next one is the foundation of innovative leadership. Innovative leaderships have path goal theory and leader-member exchange. The antecedents of the supportive organization culture climate encompasses encouragement of a creativity, autonomy, resources, and pressures. Additional foundation elements of innovation leadership include creative work, creative workforce, and certain leadership attributes. The basis of path goal theory of leadership advocates different types of leadership, participative and supportive. Much like the innovation leadership does, the idea of a single leader using different leadership behavior originated in the path goal theory and has been associated with the framework underlying innovative leadership, which also allows the creation of a work environment conducive to innovative thinking, which is a cognitive process of generating novel and useful ideas. Roots in the leader-member exchange theory. Leader-member exchange theory, that is the LMX theory, follows the same idea as path goal theory. Path goal theory and the innovation leadership, that multiple leadership styles are necessary in managing multiple subordinates, but take steps to further LMX involves adopting a unique leadership style of each employee. Study also shown that the leader-member exchange relationship can predict significant organizational and attitudinal variable, including higher job satisfaction and higher job performance, leader attributes and characteristics. This include expertise in the domain, creativity, ability to carry out transformational leadership behavior, planning and sense-making and social skills. Innovative leaders can be recruitment and hired through professionals and network and reference or alternatively found through succession planning, which involves identifying innovative leaders who are already working within the organization. Types of innovative leadership. In addition to this foundation, various types play important role. Okay. So depending on that, frequently associated leadership include transformational leadership, transactional leadership, and ambidextrous leadership. The type of leadership mostly associated with innovation in transformation leadership. Depending on the type of factor leadership that is adopted by the innovation leader, the leader may have entered either direct or indirect influence on your employees. Direct forms of influence leading to innovation style. You come and create something, providing creative input and idea suggestion to the employees. Direct forms of influence and leading innovation, providing employees with clear and concrete goal, allocating organizational resources, research and development, spending manpower for implementation. Indirect form includes establishing a supportive climate for creativity within the organization, acting as a role model for innovative thinking, providing employees with rewards and recognition for the innovative thinker, hiring a team composition, putting together a team with the specific skill sets needed for the innovative thinking, or hiring employees with creative personality without planning what they work on. Outcomes of innovation leadership include inspiring employees to create and implement novel ideas for products, services, and technologies. In addition to these novel ideas, can also be used to solve the problem within the organization. What this illustrates is that innovation spurred by the innovation leadership can be translated across various industries and can be used for multitude of purposes. Ultimately, inspiring and initiating organizational innovation through innovative leadership can serve to advance the organization level. Okay, we have again a check your progress. Go through the question and answer, and if there is any doubt, please write one letter. And yeah. The need for innovation, the organization resulted in a new focus in the reshaping the nature and success of creative efforts. Without innovation leadership, organizations are likely to struggle. Okay. So with this, we also close the Unit 15, right? You have the summary given here very clearly, and you have the model question answers, right? They are also specified, right? For each of the questions, how many lines to be written. So please go through the lesson, which is very simple and easy to understand. It is not at all difficult. I encourage you to read up every unit, my dear students, and so that you are able to understand. And if you understand the concept, you'll be able to even put it in simple words, in your own words. Already the book has done, each of the unit is done in a very, very simplistic manner, which is easy for us to understand and easy for us to write. So with this, I complete this last unit, that is unit 15. Okay, you have the glossary also here for meanings. Yeah. So all the very best for you, for your exams. With this, I complete this whole paper of the organization psychology. Thank you very much and all the best. Have a great Sunday.